The Hornets, yeah, they lose again to the Warriors, 119-101. But was it a better loss than some of the other losses that we've been experiencing? Low bar, but it's reality. We discuss it today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and we're available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You can also listen to him on Locked On NBA every weekday with Matt Moore and Hayes. I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. And immediately we play the game. Why is Doug laughing? Doug, tell the people, why are you laughing before the show even starts?
Because you said in the cold open, it's a low bar. And we've been using that phrase a lot around the show. And it made me think, as they continue to do renovations to the Spectrum Center, they should just open up a low bar, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The bar should be underground.
Yeah, underground, or just call it low bar. And that, I think, would really represent what the Hornets are doing right now, where the expectations are. I don't know. I'd have to think about some drinks that they would serve at the low bar. Let me give it some thought. While you're ruminating on different things, I'll give it some thought.
I got one. Instead of the screwdriver, why not screwed over?
Yeah, I mean, certainly season ticket holders are feeling that way.
I'd come get you a screwed over underground bar, the low
At the
bar.
low bar.
Well, there are people that sit courtside or that are within the first couple of rows, and then they go through the tunnels that the players and the workers all walk through. And there is a club, if you go way back, where those people will hang out. And so that should be the low bar. That's what it should be. And then they should serve drinks called screwed over instead of screwdrivers. And you're welcome, Hornets. Go ahead and feel free to take that idea.
Well, you could at the low bar, you could also order a wrong twin, which is a Cody Martini.
Just hire us, man. Just give us the damn money. Wait, you know what? Doug, if you're down, let's just give up the podcast and go be bartenders at the low bar at the new arena and at Spectrum Center with all the new renovations. Real quickly, I got to tell you that this episode not only does this episode have a new newsletter, but this whole show has a newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now, LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com for the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. Start your day again with the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. Yeah, this one was a better loss than the other losses. It still sucks. You still have some painful moments. I thought this was kind of a roller coaster game, Doug. I thought you had some real low lows, and I thought you had some real high highs. I thought you had some excellent shot making from LaMelo from the three-point line, where he gave you a little dash of what makes him so special as a player. But we have to go to the start of this game where he missed a couple of shots, and he missed some real bad bunnies in the entirety of this game. He had a couple of layups. If he missed an easy shot or an easy floater, then he would follow that up with another missed easy layup or easy point blank shot. And then he would hit, of course, because it's LaMelo, the one-footed side fadeaway three-pointers to keep them in the game. Like, what was cool about LaMelo in this one is it felt like he got pissed off with what was going on with the foul calls, the non-fouls, the officiating. It was brutal. The officiating was absolutely terrible in this game, and LaMelo was, again, a victim of that. And he was frustrated, and then so he got pissed, and then he decided, you know what, I'm just going to put the team on my back for a couple of offensive possessions, and I'm just going to throw it up from 35 feet and watch it splash on in. And it felt like a game that the Hornets were in, and then I look up in the fourth quarter, Doug, and they're still down double digits. They're still down 12. They're still down 15. So it was me. I brought my mom to the game last night, huge Steph Curry fan. Awkward with mom.
Actually, I take that back. Why punish your mother? I went off first. That feels like a punishment.
She's a Steph Curry fan, so I'm sitting alongside her, who she's cheering for Steph Curry, and I kid you not, right? I mean, it was a grand old time. We can talk about it another time, but she had an absolute blast. You know, she got to see some special plays from Steph, and then after some of the missed calls from the officials, she said, "You know what? I'm pulling for the freaking Hornets now." Like, what's going on? Like, she could objectively understand, obviously, that the Hornets were getting screwed over just like the drink we created at the low bar. So, look, this was, I see your notes, and so I'm going to give you the easy segue here. But you're right, Doug, with what you're about to say. This is the way you lose those games. Like, this is absolutely, you don't lose by 30, you don't lose by 50 or 40. You keep it close all the way until like the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. You still have competitive basketball, and you end up losing.
All right, there's a lot there. I need to comment on your mother first.
Okay.
Being at the game and being a Steph Curry fan. Was she one of the people that was doing like the thunder sticks and booing jeering during one of LaMelo's trips to the free throw line? Because that was amazing.
She was not one of those people. What's funny is she was a Trojan horse because she had Hornets colors on, and she was cheering for Steph Curry. So she was an op. She was absolutely a plant on the Steph Curry, a part of the Steph Curry fan base. But she did eventually turn to a certain degree, started pulling for Steph, but also the Hornets because of how much they were getting screwed over.
You mentioned they missed a lot of Bad Bunnies. You're right. I think we should have a Bad Bunny drink. And there's some crossover there with the popular music artist. But the Bad Bunny drink is the bartender just misses your glass, tries to pour you the drink, gets right up to the glass, and somehow misses it. That's the Bad Bunny drink.
Yeah, you have like a tray that catches the drink under it so you don't waste anything as well, because it's probably not a good business decision to pour drinks in the trash. So if you have some kind of just tray that catches your missed drink, then
No. That would be an offensive rebound. Actually, you order the Bad Bunny drink. It actually just goes on the ground. It gets all over your shoes because that's how you feel when the Hornets miss layup after layup after layup.
Yeah.
When the defense... Golden State played good defense in this game, but they did give them opportunities at the rim because they were playing so far up and so aggressive on LaMelo Ball, and they were throwing double teams at him up top, and they were throwing triple teams at him whenever he would inexplicably, I think, dribble into the dunker spot. He did this like 2 or 3 times, dribbling into the dunker spot and then having to like jump pass, emergency pass out of a triple team situation. He's seen this multiple games. Like, defenses, I don't know that they're throwing necessarily different things at him. They're just throwing the same aggressive defense over and over, and he's got to make the adjustment. He cannot put himself in those positions, particularly on this team that does not have, I would think, players around him that I would necessarily say are like super aware of what's happening and can react to the pressure that is being put upon LaMelo Ball. So I think he has to be a little bit smarter than that. He missed some shots, I think, particularly at the end of the third quarter as Golden State was going on the final run of that quarter that put them, I think, up 9 or so going into the break. And it's tough to ask LaMelo Ball to hit every shot, but he was doing that earlier in the season. He was hitting a lot of shots, and you have to put unfair expectations on your best players sometimes. So that was, but you were right. I mean, he did have some fantastic sequences that kept the Hornets' head above water, that they could have completely been buried, and he saved them a few times. But to your larger point, yes, that's how you want to lose those games. I wrote my opening sentence in every Hornets box score was, that's more like it, because I'm comparing this game to getting embarrassed again for the 4th consecutive time this season against the Washington Wizards. What you want to do in a tank season is be bad enough to pile up the losses so that you make sure you have those top 4 odds, but not so bad that anyone notices, so that the bloggers and the newsletter writers and the pundits and the talking heads, not so bad that they are making jokes about you because you are being noticed. That the people in terrible jobs call this like quiet quitting. You've heard that, right? You quiet quit. The Jazz have quiet quit. Everyone knows they're losing. Everyone knows why they're losing, but they don't talk about it. The Wizards settled into a quiet quit post the Kuzma trade. They were loud quitting early in the season. Now they quiet quit. The Hornets have not been quiet quitting. They've been loud quitting. They've been walking around the office. They've been belching loudly. They've been microwaving fish every day. They've been sniffing people in a weird way. They haven't been quiet quitting. They've been loud quitting, losing by 30, losing to the Wizards 4 times. That's not quiet quitting. This one, better effort. You stay competitive-ish for 3 quarters, And then you put the tank commanders out there in the fourth quarter. I'm talking about NSJ. I'm talking about Ball. I'm talking about Jeffries, these guys who aren't quite NBA level players. And you let them handle the tank in the fourth quarter, but you stay competitive through three. That's what the Hornets did. They quiet quit.
All right, we talk more about this game coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Instead of Bloody Mary, do we serve Bloody Scaries? Is that... Anyways, we'll talk more about this game, more about the Tankathon, and some individual performances. We'll break those down. Coming up next, LOH.
How about a dark and stormy? You don't even need to change the name.
This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day.
Hey, we had one. We had one, by the way. SGA dropped 50 last night.
Yeah, that is true. So I'm take these people up for it. Take these people up on it, I guess, is the words I should use. Dash Pass. With any player scoring 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So you still have quite a bit of time. Game day feast. After an epic 50-point performance, you can celebrate by ordering the wings, the pizza, burgers from your favorite spot. Doesn't really matter. It's all delivered straight to your door. That's one way you can celebrate, or another way you can take advantage of this deal is by getting lunch on the go. If you need a quick and easy lunch the next day with Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals from with a $0 delivery fee, and you get reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more points in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Yeah, let's go through some individual performances. Doug, do you have... All right, well, let's play the game. Let's just go ahead and let the people... What's going on? Did you have any other drinks? Is it something to do with the read, or what you got for the people?
No, it's a drink, because I'm looking on Wikipedia through the list of cocktails, and I found one. This is not a wordplay. This is just exactly the drink. This would be the number one seller at the Low Bar in Spectrum Center. It is called the Suffering Bastard. It is 30 milliliters of cognac or brandy, 30 milliliters of gin, 15 milliliters of fresh lime juice, 2 dashes of bitters, and you top up with a little ginger beer. The Suffering Bastard, the official drink of the Low Bar and Hornets-sickos everywhere.
What about, instead of a mojito, you can just serve Mo-sickos?
There we go. I like it. We're starting. I think we just opened this right outside of Spectrum Center.
It doesn't have to be. It could be next to the Spectrum. In fact, we take we give our suggestion, or we take it back. We now just are going to open up the bar somewhere close.
Yeah, this is no. Don't steal this idea, Hornets. I don't think we're in any danger of that. But don't steal this idea. This is ours.
Yeah, hey, Fitzgerald, that building is still open, baby. We just go where Fitzgerald's used to be, and then people can come by and have a Mo-sicko at the Low Bar before going to the Spectrum Center for a home game.
The Low Bar, where everybody knows your shame.
Oh my God. Let me exit out and let's just go ahead and get started on this business plan. I guess we do have to keep alive what allows us to name bars the Low Bar. And so I guess we still need to keep talking about the Hornets continuing to lose. So again, they lose 119-101. This game was not without its impressive performances on the Hornets side. Miles Bridges was the one that was just the steady hand all throughout this game. He was getting into the lane and scoring once he got into the paint. He actually hit not only his three-pointers, he was 4 of 9 from distance, but he hit all of his free throws. He was 9 of 9 from the free throw line, grabbed 9 rebounds, only a few turnovers, just 3 in 34 minutes, 11 of 20, ended up with 35 points. Even had a couple of and one opportunities. I don't know if he converted on a couple late, but I do know he had at least one. Miles Bridges, man, steady hand all throughout the game. If LaMelo came and went in spurts, it was Miles that really was the go-to guy pretty much from tip to the end of this one.
Yeah, kind of just doing it by himself. Like, just give me the basketball when everything else breaks down. Just give it to me. I'll go and I don't know if this is even fair, but it's like he's kind of doing it reluctantly. He's like, all right, fine, give it to me. I'll do it. Like after Ball misses, after NSJ turns it over, it's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. That's kind of how I view Miles Bridges' game. But yeah, more than a respectable game, a really good game. I hope the rest of the NBA is watching. I hope the Hornets can get some solid value out of him in the offseason when that contract of his starts to look more attractive. And salute to Miles Bridges, who has been very available this season, has eaten minutes, and has generally played respectable basketball.
So, what do you think about Mark's game? I'm interested. Like, how do you feel the way that Mark played in this one, Doug?
Yeah, 12 points, 13 rebounds. This was an interesting game because the game plan was solid in that you had Mark Williams and Nurkic, when Nurkic subbed for him, in the droppiest of drop coverages. The plan was, we're going to let Draymond Green shoot as many shots as he wants. We're going to let Kevon Looney do whatever he wants in the mid-range. And we're going to drop these guys way back to the rim to cut off Steph drives and to cut off anything that Jimmy Butler wanted to do at the rim. And for like a quarter and a half, really deep into the second quarter, I thought it worked. But yeah, I was going to put, I think, Mark into some difficult situations defensively if that first idea didn't work, if they didn't bite on it, Draymond did bite on it. He took a lot of shots and missed a lot of shots in the first half. So I don't know. I thought this was a fine game from Mark Williams. Here's the other problem too. The way that Golden State's defense worked on Charlotte is that they not only wanted to take LaMelo away individually, they really focused on taking LaMelo to Mark P&R opportunities. So the stuff that Mark got towards the rim was mostly coming out of like second or third action via Miles Bridges. So, I don't think he was able to get into that 25-point mark because of that. So I would just say like a fine game. It didn't make me angry. It didn't make me happy.
Well, one, just there were so many attempted passes in the middle of so much traffic that they just couldn't get to Mark. They were low passes. You got to think when you're giving bounce passes to a guy that has to bend over and get the basketball at his knees, it's going to be a tough catch, especially if he's trying to do so on the move. And you saw a decent amount of that last night. So the post-entry passes, what's frustrating is we can joke about how Mark only puts up good games when LaMelo plays point guard, and there's a lot of truth to that. But also a big reason for that as well is the other guys aren't making good passes. So that's not necessarily on Mark. It's just that these basketballs are below his knees. So, okay, 7'1" guy, bend over while you're on the move, catch this ball. Oh, and I need you to be strong and finish above the rim. Just a no-go, really, for anybody other than someone with Jerry Rice hands and Giannis mobility. So that was happening a lot in this one. I thought, Doug, I think Mark is actually showing you something these last three games. He's trying and executing physically on a much higher level to me, much more consistently than he had been, where we were in a dark, dark space for a month, trade debacle coming back, 2 weeks. But we've got 3 games now, and he got pushed out of the paint a couple times. Like there's no doubt in this game where guards still got up under him and moved him out on some physical rebound opportunities. That's frustrating. But Mark battled. And I think you're seeing Mark battling and kind of taking offense to people using their bodies against him so often.
Good.
And right. Look, nobody's trying to say he's there, but you give me 3 games of Mark giving you a little something, showing you some attitude, even if it's not consistent. He had 11 rebounds early in this one. I think he hit 11 like by the 9-minute mark in the third quarter. Maybe it seemed early. Hey, man, baby steps. We're getting them with Mark, and I liked what I saw. There's still some bad moments too. I thought we had some bad missed shots from him, some turn and face game. But like I'm taking what I can get from Mark, and I'm getting a decent amount, especially with the lowly Hornets, as people will call them.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's finally taking offense to it. I'm glad to a certain extent that LaMelo is taking offense to the physical defense. I wish that LaMelo would respond to that with more like intense focus on the defensive end. I think too often he gets upset, loses focus on the defensive end, which I think happened really to the entire team at the end of that third quarter when Buddy Hield got those 2 3-point shots. But, I think he goes more into all right, I'm going to hit a 3 on these MFers instead of I'm going to D up on this MFer. That's what I would like to see the transition be. And I'm losing faith that that's going to happen. I'll just say that. For Mark, I've still got a little bit of faith. The question is, for Mark, are these flashes going to be something that the organization looks at and goes, ooh, maybe we salvage his trade value? Or is it going to be enough consistent development of that physicality to where they say, ooh, we would like to see where this goes next season and maybe beyond that on some kind of maybe more reasonable extension than you would expect from a guy drafted at his position. I'm going to give you a quote here from Charles Lee before the game where he really opened up about Mark Williams and what they need to see from him. He said, quote, "Number one, just the consistency of it. He's put up really good numbers. He's done that throughout the year, but I want to see him consistently at that level. Part of it is his force and his physicality. Defensively, having that presence in the paint to alter a couple more shots or grab 1 or 2 more rebounds. Offensively, when we can hit him in the seam and he's finishing through guys, finishing through contact and rolling with force, not letting slight bumps from guards bother him, that's all of a sudden going to be the next jump for him," unquote, the emphasis there being mine. But Charles Lee really getting honest and repeating a lot of the stuff that you and I talked about. It's yes, this is what we've been seeing from Mark. He gets bumped by big guys. He gets bumped by small guys. And it's been difficult to watch. I'm glad there's recognition there. And I'm glad at the same time that Mark seems to be recognizing it and improving.
I felt so happy when he was guarding Elfrid Payton, who was just kind of standing in the dunker spot. Quentin Post takes his guy off the dribble, but it's just one of those slow developing drives. And then he turns and tries to hit this little hook shot over his guy. And Mark comes off of Elfrid Payton and absolutely swats it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And this is what we want, baby. We want Mark Williams. We want him around the paint. If he's going to roam and Elfrid Payton's not going to do a damn thing in the dunker spot and just chill out, well, there's more than enough time to make up any kind of ground on drives. You come over and swat it into the next row, and he did. That was fantastic. And he missed those opportunities time and time over the last, whole season of basketball. So yeah, there are signs here, man. I'm going to take them and I'm going to run with them. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
He's everywhere!
We'll give you some finishing thoughts on this game and take a look at the schedule ahead. Maybe rummage through the sicko satchel. I don't know. We'll try to figure some stuff out in the last segment coming up next. Locked On Hornets. This episode is brought to you by Open Phone. Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, that's about it. You get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates it with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, I got a sicko satchel question for you. Before you give me your drink, I think you have another drink, but before you give me another drink, I have another I have. Walker Mehl has entered the sicko satchel chat. How excited, how worried should we be about Nick Smith Jr.'s future with the Charlotte Hornets?
Very worried. I mean, he put up the third most shots in this game and was dead last in game score. He was one of 4 players with a negative game score. I mean, that's that's what's interesting about this game, right? And this is why I say tank Commanders at the top of the fourth quarter, because, I mean, Nick Smith Jr., Daquan Jeffries, I'll throw Damian Ball. I think Ball's trying really hard, and it's his first NBA action, so you have to cut him a little bit of slack. But, I mean, these guys are perfect players to play if you really wanted to win that game against Golden State, you would just keep LaMelo Ball out there. If you didn't care about LaMelo Ball's ankle health or his general health, then like you would just say, all right, we're going to play you 40 minutes in this game. We're going to Tibbs it, and we're going to go try to win this game because we're only down 8 or 9. So, no, but you put the Tank Commanders out there and they take care of business. But NSJ is the captain of the Tank Commanders, except he doesn't need to be this way. He could hit some more shots. He could be a better passer. One of those passes that you talked about to Mark's knees was by Nick Smith Jr., and it wasn't even so much that the pass was bad. It was. Mark had no shot of catching it, but also the pass should not have been thrown in general. Like you make that read and you see there is no conceivable universe in which this pass is successful. Even if I make an accurate pass and put it where he can catch it, actually there's no place he can catch it. You just don't, if you have any awareness, if you're able to read a defense, you understand in that moment, in sort of a faux transition moment, you just bring that ball out, you settle in, and you rotate it around and you try something else. But instead it's a turnover. And yeah, he's not playing well. He's undersized. I saw 3 different situations where 3 different Warriors just shoved him out of the way, including Brandon Pajemski, who's like, he's not a big. He's just like, the guys are just tossing NSJ out of the way. I just don't know where he fits on like a team that is trying to be decent, right? If they want to stink again next year, I could see him hanging around. But if they want to be decent next year, I just don't see that he has a place on this roster.
Well, look, there's actually a shot of that happening as much as we don't want to see that. There's a real shot of that happening, and maybe they want to hold on to what they think Nick Smith Jr. can become. But a lot of this comes down to, especially if we're making decisions going into next year, who are guys on the roster right now that are playing out of position or out of role that you think can play a role on a winning team or a postseason team. It might not be the role that they're playing right now, but they can do something. I look at a guy like Josh Green, to be honest with you, Doug, who comes up with 0 made field goals, right? 0 made field goals, but the guy is still wreaking havoc in the backcourt. If you want defensive effort, like he's throwing bodies at you, just making it hard for you to dribble it up the court. He's a good corner 3 shooter. He doesn't need the ball to give you 110% impact, which is not necessarily true of everybody else. And that's true of a lot of guys in the NBA. But I can see Josh Green, even if it's off of the bench defensive role, you give me a winning team, I got a spot for you, Josh. I got a spot for you somewhere. There are some other guys on this team that when we are ready to win, if Nick Smith Jr. is supposed to be the microwave scorer, and that's about it. I don't know if I have a spot for you. In fact, I do know I don't have a spot for you on a winning team right now. It's not to say you can't develop into that player, but I don't see it right now. Moussa Diabate. We love Moussa. He's playing a lot of minutes. He probably shouldn't, but I got a spot for you as this mobile, great defender on a winning team, except you might be like the 11th, 12th guy on the bench. So, but I got a spot for you, right? Yeah. And you got to figure out where you have spots for dudes once you feel like you can be an above 500 basketball team.
Yeah, to me, this isn't an attitude or a personality thing, like he doesn't match Hornets DNA or something like that. I think actually he's responded to a lot of what he's been asked to do and asked to improve on. It just hasn't improved, and particularly his shot. Like I've said this all along with Nick Smith Jr. He has to be a shot maker. He has to be. Because of how small he is, because he's going to get taken advantage of on defense, he has to be a shot maker. And right now, his points per shot attempt, according to Cleaning the Glass, is 93.6, which is in the 4th percentile among wings in the NBA on 20% usage, which is 77th percentile. So way above average usage. He has the ball in his hands a lot. Below average turnover percentage, almost dead last, probably is dead last if I looked at the players that were around him. They're probably low usage, a couple, small sample size theater. No small sample size with Nick Smith Jr. He has gotten the burn, and he has not been able to play well, and that stinks. And hopefully a guy like Nick Smith Jr. could go and have another opportunity somewhere, work his way back up through the G League, find a situation, improve his shot, find a situation that is better for him. I don't think it's happening here in Charlotte. It's unfortunate because, we saw the tape in high school. We saw the brief moments in college, and you had some hope. But I just don't see it anymore.
Nick Smith Jr. has not been above 36% from the field on all the games that he's played with double-digit shot attempts since Denver, when he shot 44% on 7 of 16 shooting. Before that, you have to go to San Antonio, where he had that little hot streak where he was above 50% for 4 games, but it's been a long time, and he's doing it on volume, Doug. Like, it's happening on a lot of shots per game. So, yeah, he's had stretches. It just hasn't been working out for him more often than not, and he's experiencing quite the cold spell here recently. 0 of 8 from 3. It's just that's your job. It's kind of what you got to do, and he's just not hitting any shots from distance, so we'll see if he can get it turned around. Speaking of guys getting it turned around, though, Doug, how about the rookie last night? We did have Tijan Salon. He made all of his three-pointers, unlike Nick Smith Jr. Goes 3 for 3, baby. What'd you make of his performance?
Oh, it was great, and they were back to back to back at the end of the first quarter. A first quarter where they were in danger of ending it with like an apocalyptic offensive output. And he came in and knocked down shots. They were wide open shots, but he hasn't been hitting those recently. And he did in this case, and that's great. And that's what you have to see from him. I did notice that on the first one, the first 3 that he hit, he almost had like a sigh of relief and then into a little fist pump. And remember, when he hit his first 3 of his career, he was doing the like full Tiger Woods, red polo fist pump like he had just hit a birdie on 18 to win the Masters. And we were like, wow, that is some confidence. And you can see that has abated a little bit. And but by the third 3 in a row, he was back, baby. He was full fist pump. He was all the way back. And I love to see it. Look, Tijan, it's going to take a while. We're going to have to go to sleep and wake up. And Tijan is going to be doing things that we did not see from him his rookie season. And the same thing is probably going to happen sophomore into his junior season, right? This is just going to be a process with him. And I'm willing to take the ride because I'll say too, defensively, that was one of the better Tijan games. Like, he was active defensively. He was bothering shots at the rim because, a lot of times when Nurk and Mark were dropping, he had to be the help guy when they were slightly out of position, and he did a fantastic job of understanding that assignment. So, real growth point for Tijan. Again, this is what you like to see. Quiet quitting from the Hornets and development from some of the young players. I also have a few final drink recommendations at the low bar if you'd like them.
Thank you. Yep, I would like them. Bartender, I'm looking for a couple of drinks here, but I'm not exactly sure what I want. Do you have any recommendations?
Well, these drinks aren't free, but they have to do with free agency. So I've got a John Collins for you. That's an actual drink. John Collins, if you'd like that. Or you can have the porn star martini, which is, Zion Williamson.
Is Zion coming to town? Okay, great. Yeah. There we go. I like it. I've got something a little less to that tune. Instead of a French 75, I think we're going to be creating stench 75s. There's just it's a little smelly. Stench losing by 75s.
There
and
you go.
Also
Stench scoring 75 in a game. Yeah,
that's right. I'm also Corpse Reviver. Whatever you want to do. Maybe that's when the Hornets win a game. Corpse Revivers half off. That's the special.
That's what we're hoping for in terms of Brandon Miller, in terms of Trey Mann, in terms of Grant Williams. I mean, this whole season has been reviving corpses, and so will the offseason.
Okay, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. That'll do it for the Low Bar podcast. Keep an
closing
eye out
time. Turn the lights on. Everybody out. Pay your tabs.
That's Doug Branson. EveryHornetsBoxScore.com. You can find the subtext information on the show notes, by the way. Also, listen to him on Locked On NBA every weekday. Matt Moore and Hayes. I'm on WFNZ, Sports Radio, 92.7 WFNZ, Wes and Walker, from 12 to 3 p.m. Again, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make us your first listen again tomorrow.
You don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.